Cheaters of Reddit, why are you currently cheating on your so? I'm a frequent cheater on my wife with escorts. I'm sexually adventurous. My wife isn't. I rationalize it as getting from them what my wife can't or isn't willing to do. I rationalize that I'm not loving any of these women. I'm just using them for a service. I realize I'm a terrible person. I created a throwaway for obvious reasons. You wanted a serious and honest response, so this is how I can do it. I've been a cheater in most relationships I've had, and as a result, a self-hater for most relationships. I've been through therapy for about 8 years for other reasons, and what I've come to learn is that I didn't feel I deserved love, affection, or appreciation. This stems from a whole host of other things from my childhood: sexual abuse, lack of fatherly relationship, latchkey kid, etc. I treated relationships as though they were temporary, even though they lasted 4 years. I'm a good looking guy, so lots of women offer up temptation that I found difficult to reject. And each time, I hated myself for my indiscretions. I also picked relationships that were bad for me: cheater girlfriends, terrible communicators, insecure women, etc. Then I met the girl of my dreams. I was so into her from day one that I immediately shut down all of my other options. I told other women I was dating that I was happy and done dating around. I shut down a non-committed long-distance relationship as well. I was really in love. Then I found out she was cheating on me. I can't describe the heartbreak and betrayal I felt. This sent me into a downward spiral of emotional hell. Through therapy, I was able to get back on track, appreciate myself more, and find a girl who is absolutely perfect for me. I do still feel urges to cheat sometimes, but my unwillingness to hurt her saves me. Part of my self-hatred stems from not doing the right thing. Each time I do the right thing, I feel a sense of pride, and it makes me feel worthy of the love I receive. A positive cycle. So I'm posting this on my Not Me account, and this is kind of long, but here was my experience with my last GF. You know how somehow every girl is interested in you when you already have a girlfriend? Well, it starts like that. At first you're not going to cheat, but you want to see if you've still got it. Now you know you've still got it, and just want to dance with her a little bit. All of a sudden you're dancing and making out, but you're not sleeping with her, so it's not cheating yet. Then one night you're really drunk and had a fight with your girlfriend, and you end up doing the same thing, and boom, you've slept with this girl and are officially cheating. Now you keep sleeping with this one girl because, hey, nothing bad happened the first time. This girl is just a physical outlet for me, and I still love my GF. Well, time goes on, and you've fallen so far over the line that you can't even remember when you really crossed it, and this new girl wants more from you, and your GF is wondering why you suddenly have to work late but are making no more money, and you've got to try and find a way to break it off with the new girl, but it's hard because you kind of like her too. Suddenly you've constructed a web of lies so complicated that you're not even sure you can unravel it, and you're not sleeping well because if your current GF finds out, the poop will hit the fan, and if your newer girl finds out, your GF will eventually find out. You get into this situation where it's just easier to put it off, and it's sort of like when you put off breaking up with someone, but to a greater extent because the disincentives are so copious. TL. Doctor, you push the envelope, little by little, and by the time you've realized you've crossed the line, everything is ducked up. Now you've got to try and break it off amicably, but it's not that easy because you like both girls and they both like you. So you try and let it sit, but it will, more likely than not, blow up in your face. I was single at the time, but he was married, so if that counts I will tell my story, though currently cheating is not applicable anymore. About 10 years ago I was in college and met Prof X, who was in my fairly small department. There was definite attraction there, but I knew he was married and had a child, and believe it or not he wasn't a skis, so we ignored it, and I just liked to go to his office hours and chat about the material or whatever. and after about 2 years of that, by which point we were definitely in emotional affair territory, including a course taught by him, we were at a senior's graduation party in our apartment and likely tipsy, and he offered me a ride home, then asked if we could pull over, and we both confessed our attraction, and kissed in what was the most surreal thing imaginable. What followed was a year and a half of sneaky meetings. First in random hotel rooms, then my apartment once I got one. I did some grad school there as well, and 1 or 2 nights bundled into conferences and the like. We fell in love, and were brutally honest with each other about the good and the bad of the situation with some humor too. After we had my first statement was, "And you still gave me a C," referring to the class I took from him a year ago. No way in hell we would have done anything while still in such a position. He still loved his wife and child, and I was always second to them, literally the first thing we agreed on in that car. But to quote him, it was like getting struck by lightning, and something he had never done before, nor planned to do again. I know Reddit won't believe him, but even though this was some years ago, I know it was the case then at least, and we still email sometimes, and I've no reason to disbelieve him. Incidentally, I should mention, beyond just really liking each other to the point where we couldn't ignore it, he was also down to having sex like once every 6 months with his wife. Even though they'd tried various ways to rekindle things, she was just no longer interested as she got older and her chemistry changed. And he was good guy and loved her deeply once again. I was never ever first over her, so he wasn't about to tear his family apart over a dead bedroom, but yeah, even if not the primary factor, it was surely part of it. He also had the gallows humor of telling me, when we ended it, that the best sex of his life was over. We did some amazing exploration he never did with her, and he never planned to cheat again. So ergo. Anyway, we ended up ending it because he was just feeling more and more like a sleaze lying to his wife, and eventually we ended it, and that was that. I cried so hard and was feeling badly for at least a month or 2 after that, because while I'd always understood it was going to end that way and was willing to do it anyway, it didn't make it hurt any less. And of course, because I never ever told anyone what we were up to, I was in pain inside, but couldn't tell a soul why. That was pretty awful. So why did I do it, even though I couldn't ignore it? Honestly, to steal his phrase, it was like being struck by lightning. I will never have a relationship with someone married again, though believe me, there has been opportunity. But after 2 years of build up, this was not just something I could ignore and say I didn't want. I couldn't walk away, even though I knew it would end in heartache, because I think back on our time together, and it makes me smile to remember those moments. And yeah, probably compartmentalized a bit, as he was the one cheating in a relationship, not me. I will also say though, if I end up in a stage of life where I find the one I want to marry, I will make it clear, if he feels like he has been struck by lightning by someone else a few decades down the line, especially if I'm no longer interested in sex as much, though may that day be far off, I wouldn't hold it against him if he followed through. Though if anything, I'd prefer it if he just told me. Maybe that makes me strange, but I feel like I learned a lot about how relationships can evolve even when everyone involved is a good person who loves each other very much. Cheating is one of the greatest adrenaline rushes one could ever have. I cheated often, and I wasn't too bad at it. It all comes down to ego. You even begin to enjoy the lies. There are people that duck up and cheat. One time, I was stupid and feel terrible. Then it stops. That happens. But then you have people that have a fetish for it. The great equalizer in a cheater's life is dating someone better at it than you. I dated my best friend. It was one of those occurrences you read in fairy tales, where you see the girl for the first time and you know you're in love. 14 years old, first day of high school. We clicked immediately. It took us 9 years of friendship before we finally hooked up. When we finally did, we were both in relationships. It was great. We cheated for a while, then decided to break it off with them and become an item. I decided to part with my ways as a cheater. I had a chick on the side for a while before and during her. I broke it off finally with that one as well. We dated for about 6 months. We both found our soulmates. I spent 3 years training day in and day out to fulfill a dream of 10 years. It would have required me to move, so I stayed behind and quit to be with her. After 6 months, she started showing the signs. Short texts, breaking off plans, etc. I knew what it meant. She was back on the cheat drug. I couldn't take it. I was Batman of a detective. Found everything. We broke it off, and I was crazy for about a year. Looking back, I don't blame her. It was a rush, it was what we knew. We started in infidelity, of course it was bound to end that way. She is by far the greatest person I know. But like any addiction, it is almost impossible to ever shake. I now have a GF whom I will not cheat on. The urge is always there, but you learn to see it as what it is. It's a selfish form of validation. As for the ex, we have been through too much to ever fix that for many more reasons than you care to read. She is still one of my best friends and we stay in touch. There's a quote somewhere about soulmates not being the person you marry. They break you down and make you realize what you really are. Through all the lies and the self-destructive behavior, you realize you're actually doing a drug. Habitual cheating is exactly like drug use. It benefits no one but you and your selfish needs. Then when you get off of it, you're always one step away from relapse. My GF now is a bee's knees and I've been nothing but honest about my past. She has always had trust issues in past relationships, but with me she doesn't. I don't know how that happens. That faith has made it so easy for me to stay true. It also helps that I'm not 22 anymore. Age and ego go hand in hand. Please read all the way to the bottom before you judge. My wife and I are best friends. We latched onto each other in our early 20s and know we will always be life companions. It's such a great fit, so much understanding, mutual humor, pleasure in each other's company. We love making a home together, having friends, sharing our days and meals. We've been together 30 years and raised a couple of happy, well-balanced children. Ideal, right? Well, yes and no. It's been an everything but arrangement pretty much from the start. Not by plan. That part never came together somehow. The bedroom hasn't always been dead. We did manage 2 pregnancies after all, but almost always. Months have sometimes gone between couplings. And there isn't even all that much frustration, at least these days. More on this below. But not much interest, not much specific chemistry. It would be great if we had memories of a brief sexually frantic phase like many couples have. But nope, we were both virgins at the time of our marriage. I did experience a crisis about sex a few years into the marriage, feeling like I had missed something essential in my life. She felt sorry but powerless to help, and then I met a childhood friend who I hadn't seen for many years, learned that she'd always had a crush on me, and decided to act on it. It wasn't a moment of weakness, but a deliberate decision that I informed my wife of in advance. Didn't ask, just said I need to do this. Went away for a weekend with this other woman, then went home, wondering, have I destroyed everything? Instead she welcomed me in happy tears and wanted to know if I felt better, and I did. Not only that, but we had a period after that where the bedroom was positively alive. Didn't last a long time, but damn it was nice. Since then we've both pretty much put it together that the only thing that sparks a sexual interest is the perception of competition. She can't be sexually attracted to me except when she can believe that someone else is too. While I haven't made a pattern of explicitly seeking out actual adultery, emotional cheating turns out to be beneficial to the marriage, provided she knows about it, or at least is encouraged to suspect it. Which I guess makes it not cheating at all, although most people would probably see it that way. She wants to know when I'm in flirtations with at the workplace. She occasionally asks I would like to go to bed with among my friends and hers. She wants to know if I had any close calls, near seductions, at work conferences and such. All of this peps up our life. To some extent, no, we haven't turned into a pair of legendary lovers this way, but it kinda gets us both by. And I'm getting old enough now that my drive is starting to wane, and things are more equitable between us that way than they used to be. Now before you say, I need help, or she does, because of her presumed self-esteem issues, or whatever, I'll assert this, in the big picture, she is one of the most secure people I know, and we've come to consider ourselves one of the happier couples among our acquaintance. I don't think there is anything to fix here. But it's not like we can talk freely about our relationship with anybody. And like probably almost everybody else here, I'm posting with a throwaway account.